Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody's having a great start to the year. I hope that you guys are having an unbelievable week and you're getting ready to have an unbelievable weekend. It's Focus Friday. I'm not going to be long. I'm sitting here. I'm relaxed. I've hit the gym this morning. I've gotten some clients out of the way. Um, and now I'm focused on making sure I go into my weekend the way I want to in so many different ways. Getting this year off to a great start was extremely important to me. And I want to help you guys learn how to get each day off to a great start because it's going to play a major role in your life. Before I do, real briefly, I want to bring you to the description box. As you have heard, as I've been advertising, a lot of the stuff that I've been having on discount and lowering to try to get people to take advantage of it and to work with certain people. All this stuff is going back to regular price. The platinum package is back to $13,995. The bronze package is now at its new price of $3,500. Um, and we'll do some things with the bronze package, which is a 12-week package over and over. But the platinum package, which is a 52-week package, that's pretty much going to be where it's at. And it's going to be a very few people I'm going to work with this year. I'm reducing the number of people I'm working with because we're doing something different to ensure we're able to reach more people and to give the company the flexibility it needs to grow. But for a limited time for the remainder of the day, our rapid change breakthrough session, which is a $450 session, is now on sale for the last day for $175, which is more than 50% off. This is an unbelievable opportunity to work with me in a highly intensified session where we break down what's going on, what needs to change, open up your mind to how to change it, what to do, a list of things that will help you create the habits you need to have happen. So much happens in this one session. But for today, the first 10 people do it will get it not only at the discounted price, which is going to end today. I can't tell you what we'll do with it later on, but it's going back to its regular price of $450. And there's a reason for all of this. I'm quieting the noise. Everybody talks about what they want to do. Everybody talks about what's important for them. Everybody talks about it. But when it's time to step up and make moves, people hunker back. Let me tell you something. I have had so many people ask me the question, why should they pay for information when information is free? It's absolutely free. Trust me, it is free in certain instances. A lot of what I paid for. I paid deeply for to learn to do what I do and to be able to know what I know. But there is plenty of free information out there. You can go out and get it. But when someone has invested their life, their time, their energy, and effort to develop the expertise to share, then they have a right to be compensated for that. Now, if you happen to find a mentor or someone who wants to work with you, and I've mentored plenty of people, but we've got to get out of that mindset that the breakthrough is coming through free means. You've got to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to sit up and say, I believe in me enough to put something in me. Very few people are going to help you. Even if you find a mentor that's willing to work with you, they're not going to work with you if you don't have skin in the game. You're going to have skin in the game. You're going to have something on the table that you're risking for other people to want to risk it with you. And so I'm clearing out the noise. I'm finding the people who really truly want to do something to change their lives, and I'm going to be okay with that. One of the things that has been very difficult for me over the years is looking at people that I know I can help and say, well, they don't want it bad enough, and walking by. I'm always fixing it. And it's just come to the point that my company can't do that anymore. It's taken enough beating. I've set myself back enough this year. If you believe in what I do, you're going to get on board. If you can't, you figure it out. If not, you'll find a way to find some other way to get it done. But you're going to have to invest in yourself. You don't have to invest in me. You don't have to buy not one of my products. But at some point, if you're going to change your life, if you're going to get up, you're going to have to invest yourself. If nothing else, you're going to have to buy books and sit down and invest your time and read them. And then take what you learn and apply it. There is no fast track way to overcoming the things that are in front of you. You're going to have to commit to doing it. So what I charge for my products, I can charge because I give more in value. There's not one thing that I'm going to give you that what you pay for, you don't get more than what you pay for. Something my pops taught me a long time ago, long before I walked into this arena, told me always fill your space, always leave the room with more than you take away from it. And I always do. So I don't have a problem charging what I charge because I guarantee you I give more than that. You walk away with more than that. The thing is, are you ready to do that? So here it is. Last day, take it or leave it. I'm good, but I'm putting it out there. $175 for a $450 session. And the first 10 who do it will get an additional session free. But it's all over with. Just like I told you that the platinum package was going back to $13,995. I told you that the bronze package was the last day. This is the last day. I have got to do what I've got to do for my company. It's trying to explode and I'm choking it. I'm not doing that anymore. So with that being said, that's out of the way. Let's talk about the importance, first of all, of how we get our day started. You've heard it over and again. If you've been around people who talk about success, you've heard it. How you start your day is going to determine how your day goes. How you start your day is going to determine how you end your day. You've heard it over and over again. But it's so important to understand how you start your day sets the whole context of how you experience your day. So if you literally wake up with the right and you create the right mindset to start the day, it doesn't matter how the day goes well. Let me explain something to you. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I'm looking to do when I wake up in the morning is set the state of gratitude. Why? Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. If you don't learn that, you're going to struggle all through life. Why? Because you are going to behave and set your mindset based on your circumstances, then based on your faith and your expectations. And what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in circumstances and situations that aren't reflective of the things you expect for your life, the things you desire for your life, the things you want for your life. You're going to find yourself in times and situations where you are nowhere near where you think you ought to be. Trust me, I've been there. You go through it, you deal with it. But how you view it and how you walk in it is going to determine how you walk it out and how you live it. Let me explain something to you. So first thing I do before I ever open my eyes, when I wake up, I say thank you. I don't have to think about what I'm being thankful for. The fact that I'm awake is a reason to be thankful, because if I'm awake, that means I'm still breathing. If I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. If I'm still in the fight, there's a chance for me to turn whatever may not be going my way around. So that's the focus. The first thing is thankfulness. Then the next stage is preparing myself to take on the challenges. The one thing that I do not do is I do not go into any day thinking that I'm just going to skate through it. And the reason that I never go into a day thinking I'm going to skate through it is because I never go into a day trying to just get the bare minimum. I go into every day trying to pull everything I have out of it, trying to give everything I have to give, trying to create and produce the things that will matter in this life at the highest level. And that's the thing that I'm going to focus on. That's the thing that I'm going to do. And in doing that and demanding the most of myself and demanding the most out of life, there comes challenges, there comes obstacles, there comes setbacks, there comes delays, there comes people call on the phone. Hey, you know what? When I told you this, I told you that. Well, guess what? You're going to get those phone calls. You're going to get people who sit up and say, I'm ready to do something, and then they change their mind. You're going to get all this stuff, and you've got to be able to deal with it. But if you don't have the right mindset, it overwhelms you. You become frenetic. You become unglued. You become anxious. Why? Because you're thinking life is happening to you instead of life is responding to you and happening for you. And so what do I mean? I mean that you can't control what anyone else does. You can't control who's going to do what. What you can do is control how you respond to it. Now, here's the thing. When I wake up in the morning, first thing, thankfulness, gratefulness. That immediately raises my frequency, raises my vibration, puts me in a place where I am closer to the divine nature of myself, meaning I am closer to the Spirit of God. Therefore, I am closer to the answers I seek. Therefore, there's no reason to become fearful, no reason to become frenetic, no reason to become unglued, no reason to panic. No matter how it looks, no matter how it sounds, I've got this. And you've heard me say this before. There's sometimes I'm looking up and I mean, everything around me looks like the world is about to just collapse. And what happens? I simply sit up and say, I don't even have the answer at the time. I haven't even figured out what I'm going to do about it at the time. What do? I go look at myself in the mirror and I look at myself. I square my shoulders and remind myself of who I am. And I say, you got this. The very nature of my destiny says that I will fulfill all that I am placed here on this earth to fulfill. And the very definition of destiny says the more you try to stop it, you only ensure that it happens. So what have I done? I've sit up and told myself, I don't even have the answer, but I know I'm going to win. Doesn't mean I'm not going to take some hard shots. Doesn't mean I might not get knocked down. Doesn't mean that some people aren't going to call me on the phone and give me news I don't want to hear. Doesn't mean that there aren't going to be people who don't like me. It doesn't mean any of those things. What it means is that no matter what I face, I'm built for it. Now, all of this thing is about priming, and there's some things. When I prime, the first thing I'm doing before I touch my phone, here's another thing. I do not touch my phone for the first 30 minutes to an hour of my day. Why? Because the moment I pick up that phone, I surrender my personal sovereignty. What are you saying? The moment I pick up the phone, I make myself vulnerable to what's on it. Now, if I pick up that phone, it's a text message, say, hey, I just sent you blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I'm going to sign the contract today. Hey, I'm all the things. Then great. My day's going to go great. Why? Because the first thing I experienced and saw was something I wanted. So I'm in a good mood. Everything else that comes along, oh, don't worry, I got this. But what happens when you pick it up and it's bad news? Then what happens? Then you're sitting there and you're going, oh, wow. And then your day is set. So now everything else that comes in is viewed through the context of that bad. But if you sit down and say, I'm not touching it, and the first thing you do is say, I'm grateful, and then you look at things, and the next 10 minutes, you just sit there and think about the things you're grateful about. Then the next 10 minutes, you sit there and think about all the things that you're capable of doing, all the things that are possible for you, all the things that are going to happen if you consistently pursue the things you want. I sit up and I posted this morning, and I've shared this with you before. People always ask me about my heroes, about people I admire. First and foremost, I admire my great-grandfather, the man who adopted and raised me, taught me so much about manhood, had a second grade education, but wisdom unbelievable, and taught me so much. And then there's, some teachers like Mr. Joseph from middle school, Mr. Brewer from middle school, some of my coaches from high school and on beyond, and Malcolm and Martin and Medgar and all these people that I've seen. Dr. Amos Wilson is huge. Dr. Naeem Akbar, a bunch of people. And so I'm looking at it, but I tell them, I say, none of those people are my hero. All those people are men I admire, men I look up to, men I hope to have had the same impact that they had in this world by the time I leave this world, but none of those people are my heroes. I'm not saying that something's wrong with having them as a hero if you decide, but I decided that no matter how much I studied Malcolm, I was never going to be him. No matter how much I admired and looked up to my grandfather, I was never going to be him. No matter what I look at in the world, in the field of psychology, I'm never going to be Dr. Naeem Akbar or Dr. Amos Wilson. But you know who I can be? I can be the best version of me. So my hero is the man I envision myself being 5 years from now. But in order for that to mean anything for me, in order for me to connect to that, I've got to have an idea of who that man is. What is he going to look like? What will he have accomplished? Well, see, at some point in time in the past, I looked 5 years ahead and I said, there's going to be a man. He's going to have written at least 15 books. Well, I've written and published 25 full-length books. I've written over 1,000 academic articles. I've written over 30,000 prose articles. I literally produce content for a number of different entities on the internet. I've created some of the spaces that you visit, which, depending on what you do, my companies have done that. And so when I looked up 10 years ago, 5 years ahead, and said, this is what I want. And then I've surpassed that. Then it became the man 5 years from then. And now I'm looking 5 years from now. When I turn 60, what will I have done? What will I have accomplished? And when I look at that, I say, that's my hero. And the beautiful thing about it is I can be that person. I can literally become that person. Is it going to be easy? No, because I don't think small. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging. There are going to be some difficult moments. Last year was one of the most difficult moments emotionally, relationally, in so many areas. Business was trying to grow and was being shrunk, and a lot of that was me. just hell bent on touching everybody. And so I had to back off of that. But then I'm going through so many persons, lost my brother, went through my situation in my marriage. All this stuff was going on. But what I can tell you is, in the midst of all of that, I knew who I was. I never lost myself. I never had to sit back and fold up in a corner. I never broke down. And it's not that it's anything wrong with crying anything, not at all. What I'm saying is I never broke down to the point to where I couldn't function. Because I knew who I was. I knew that there was something on the inside of me that the world needed, that this life isn't just about me, that my purpose is bigger than me. And if my purpose is bigger than me, then God has given me, by way of what's implanted inside of me, everything I need to fulfill this greater thing. So anything I'm going through is not as great as the purpose. Anything that I'm facing is not great as the purpose. So there's never going to be a time that I'm facing something bigger than the reason I'm here. And if that's the case, then I know that at some point I'm going to break through. At some point I'm going to win. So every morning I wake up and say, you got this. You're built for this. No matter what comes, you're going to win. This is what's going to happen today. At least one person's life is going to change because you are alive today. At least one person is going to feel better about themselves because you're alive today. At least one person is going to walk into something new in their lives because you're alive today. And if that's just all you do today, you've done something great. You've literally touched the life of a human being and made it better by simply being who God designed you to be. But you got to get yourself going. If you wake up and you pick up that phone, you're at the mercy of what's on it, but put it down. Whatever's there, be there when you get there. You focus on what you're creating for your day. There are going to be things you don't control, but remind yourself you're built for it. But there are things you can set out. By this time, I'm going to have done this. By this time, I'm going to have done this. And then I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to ensure that I grow intentionally today. I'm going to read X amount. I read a minimum of 20 pages. I try to read 2 books a week, but I'm going to read a minimum of 20 pages any day. A lot of that is research, a lot of that is books, but I'm reading stuff that's growing me, that's challenging me to think, that's giving me insight on how I can help people. I'm never going to reach a point where I've arrived. I'm never going to reach a point where I think I know it all. I'm never going to reach a point where, shoot, man, I got it made. No, I'm sitting up and saying, I want to touch a dream and vision beyond your wildest imagination. And every day is just one step toward it. I don't need a quantum leap. I just need to wake up. That's the thing. When you wake up with an understanding that you are paving the path to your destiny by how you move and how you approach life. You wake up, like I said, establish gratitude. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. Find a reason to be grateful. And the more reasons you find, the more you solidify that gratitude, the higher your frequency. If you measured your energy emission when you're in a state of gratitude, you're at a minimum of 500 hertz. That's 250 hertz higher than jealousy, envy, anger, bitterness, strife, worry, fear, all that stuff. It's 250 hertz and lower. You have 500 hertz just simply saying thank you. The moment you say thank you, your brain automatically shifts to gratitude and it starts looking for reasons to be grateful. And if it starts to flow off into something negative, say, no, thank you. I'm grateful. And then the brain shifts back. Let me find why he's grateful. Let me find it. The brain will find what you tell it to find. If you tell it to find reasons to be sad, it'll find it. If you tell it find reasons to be angry, if you sit up and you center yourself in your identity of being quick-tempered, that used to be me. Used to take pride in being quick-tempered. Nobody's gonna come looking for me because I'm here. I'm ready to give you all the smoke. Didn't realize I was destroying myself from the inside out. And the brain will go find every reason to get mad at something because you've given priority to the temper. But if you give priority to gratitude, if you give priority to power, if you give priority to positivity, if you give priority to elevation, if you give priority to growth, guess what the brain goes out and finds? There's this thing called the reticular activating system. It is a bundle of nerves that sits at the base of the brain, and what it does is literally it has a neurological function of processing information, but it processes it by way of prioritization. Have you ever sit up and noticed when you go out and buy something, whether it's a car, whether it's a shirt or blouse or whatever it is, the more you like it, the more you seem to see other people wearing it or driving it, and you're going like, man, I never saw this before I bought it. Everybody went out and bought. No, everybody didn't go out and buy your car. Everybody didn't go. It was there. The moment that you spent money on it and got excited about it, you sent a message by way of the reticular activating system to the rest of your brain and your mind that it was important. All of a sudden, your brain started seeing it. You know what? But here's the thing. You have the conscious mind and you have the unconscious mind, and they're processing. The conscious mind can only process 2,000 bits of information per second. That's no joke. That's handling some business. 2,000 bits of information per second. But the subconscious mind can process 4 billion bits of information per second. Everything that's happening in the world around you, from the temperature to everything else, your subconscious mind knows it. That's how you can sit up and be driving home on the phone, talking and deep in the discussion, get to your driveway and don't remember how you got there. The last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your drive, you don't have a clue. Did I run that red light? Did I run that stop sign? Boy, I'm glad I get a ticket. No, subconscious mind took care of it. Subconscious mind handles 96% of your behavior. So if you can sit up and influence the subconscious mind, you can sit up and influence everything. It's 96% of your behavior is the subconscious. That's why willpower only gets you so far. Why? Because there comes a point in time, no matter how focused you're on something, eventually you get to doing it and it starts to become a subconscious behavior, a subconscious action. You know, you look up and you're just doing things on autopilot because that's how. Imagine if you had to actually make a conscious decision with everything you're doing today. That would drive you nuts. That's why the subconscious does that. It manages your speech. Out of the abundance of the heart speaks. When the Bible talks about the heart, whether it's leb in the Hebrew or cardia in the Greek, it's talking about the center of the soul. It's talking about what we call now the subconscious, the uttermost place, the seat of the soul, the center of your being, the thing that manages and controls everything. When you guard the heart, that's why you're told over and over in scripture, guard your heart and mind. What is it saying? Guard your subconscious and your conscious. The heart is the subconscious. The mind is the conscious in scripture when you break it down and understand it and look at it. So then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to make sure that you're feeding the subconscious the things it needs. And the way you do that is by giving priority to the things that matter to you. Whatever you focus on, you feel. Do you get me? Whatever you focus on, you feel. Whatever you are giving the most attention to is the thing you're going to feel the most. Some of us have been programmed to find what's wrong. So we're always upset. We're always sad. We're always frustrated. Why? Because we have trained ourselves to see what's wrong. We have trained ourselves to find the things that are negative in our lives. And then we wonder why we are constantly in a state of frustration, a state of anger, a state of fear, because we're trained to find it. Now, at the very base level of our existence, what's known as the reptilian brain or the limbic system is trained to find what's wrong. That's how ancient man stayed alive, is to know what's wrong, sense what's wrong. That's when the hair stand up on your neck and you don't know why. You start to get sweaty, heart rate starts to pump. You're in fight or flight mode. You're in a stress response. That part of the brain is trained. So you have to have a higher level of function. And we do that. We have the prefrontal cortex. We can sit up and program our mind to do anything we wanted to do. But we have to sit up and be aware of it. The more you feed your subconscious something, the more prevalent it becomes. It's nothing that you're getting by. That's why vision boards work so well. Why? Because I don't have to stop and look at the vision board every day and go, I said I was going to do that. Once you put it up there, the brain logs it. Man, we're sitting up putting on this. He says he's really passionate about this. I'm going to put this up there and put that up there. And then after a while, all you got to do is pass by it. The brain automatically logs everything on it, knows what it is, and reminds itself that that's what we're doing. Unbelievably powerful. And then those moments where you do stop and glance at it, you don't have to look at it long. Again, subconscious says, here, these are all the things we're doing. And the subconscious, just like the shirt, just like the car, fit, filters all of that through the reticular activating system, and all of a sudden becomes a priority. All of a sudden it starts to look for ways to find it, look for ways to make it happen. All of a sudden, things that have been in front of you forever starts to make sense. People you have passed in passing, in Starbucks, in the grocery store, at the bank, all of a sudden now have meaning, and now you are coming together and you're having conversations. I had one of those moments last night. But it all comes from how you start your day. Are you starting your day saying, I'm going out and conquering my vision? I'm going out and conquering every challenge. One of the sayings I have that I end my meditation with, and it's actually written on one of my boards in front of me, so I say it all day long, but I literally end my meditation with this. It says, I am committed to excellence. I am adequately sufficient to meet every challenge. And it's constantly in front of me, literally sitting across the room on the wall. And it's in my wallet. I say it before I get out of the bed in the morning after I finish my meditation. And it's a constant repetition. I'm committed to excellence. I am adequately sufficient to meet every challenge. I'm striving to be better, is what it's saying. I'm striving to be the best I can be. I'm striving to produce something of quality. I'm striving to produce something of remarkable standard. And I am adequately equipped. I am adequately sufficient. I am to meet every challenge. And if you break it down, it goes back to my original saying. I'm built for this. So when you're built for the challenge, you don't balk at it. You don't fold when you meet it. Say it's time to roll up my sleeves and do what I'm built to do. But if you wake up every morning and the first thing you're thinking about is all the things that are wrong, all the things that have happened, you start to get in survival mode. You start to get in victim mode. You start to believe that life is happening to you. No, life isn't happening. Life is responding. God designed the universe, however you want to view God. I'm not here to tell you how to view God. What I'm telling you is God designed the universe to respond to faith. However you want to call it, that's what it is. It's sitting up and saying, this is what's going to happen in my life. And then you're going to move and behave, but the universe is going to respond. God, life, the universe, however you want to put it, will only meet you at the level of your expectations. If you wake up expecting everything to go wrong, it will. Doesn't mean that there won't be challenges, but how you view the challenges is going to determine whether you have a solution to it or not. To me, the very nature of a challenge, the very nature of a problem means there's an opposite to it, which is the solution. I choose to focus on the solution. What does that mean? Immediately, there's no stress. If I'm focused on the problem, I'm stressed because I'm looking at it. And if I'm focused on it, remember, whatever you focus on, you feel. So if I'm focused on the problem, I'm not focused on the solution. So since I'm not focused on the solution, the idea that I can get rid of the problem isn't even there. I'm just looking at the problem like, oh my God. And the first thing that most people who focus on the problem do is go, what am I going to do? Well, you're not going to get an answer because you're not looking at the solution. You're looking at. So my thing is, okay, here's the challenge. What's the first step? That's the solution. So now I'm looking for, guess what happens the moment you start looking for a solution? What you're not doing, you're not focused on the problem. Guess what happens when you stop focusing on the problem? You come out of a stress response, which opens up your prefrontal cortex. That's where your reasoning, your impulse control, all the things that stops you from doing dumb stuff is in the prefrontal cortex. But guess what shuts down the moment you start panicking and having a stress attack and fear and anxiety? Prefrontal cortex. That's why when you see people and they're doing stuff, you're like, what were they thinking? They weren't. Prefrontal cortex has shut down. The body's going through a stress response. That stress response, we call it fight or flight, is an ancient response that doesn't really work well for most of the things we go through. Now, sometimes there is a person in the space with a gun. Sometimes there is something dangerous that could happen. But most of the times, we're stressed about something that's not going to kill us. Actually, the stress we're experiencing is more deadly to us than the thing we're stressing about. Because when we go into the stress mode, the brain triggers the stress response, and the stress response triggers the release of adrenaline from the adrenal gland, sits right over the kidneys. The adrenal gland, it triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol. This stuff is unbelievably cool if a dog is chasing you. Somebody pulls out a gun and you got to get ghosts, or you got to fight to defend yourself and save your life. That stuff is great. Gives you extra strength, extra stamina, heart rate increases, blood flow starts to go to your extremities. Why? Because I'm either going to run with my legs, or I'm going to fight with my hands, or maybe fight with my hands and my legs. But that's where the blood flow goes. The problem is, in order for that blood flow to go, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex requires about 30% of your normal blood flow in order to function optimally. Well, can't have that. So the body automatically goes into a process where it needs that blood flow, so it shuts it down. So I'm not thinking reasonably when I'm stressed. I'm never going to come up with the answer to the solution when I'm stressed. But what I'm going to do is probably act out of impulse, act out of fear, act out of anxiety, act out of anger, and find myself in a worse situation than the situation that caused the trigger in the first place. Worst of all, if I don't find a way to come out of stress mode, the longer that cortisol is in my body, the more it starts to attack my immune system, attack my organs, and attack my physical health. So when someone says I'm stressed or worried to death, there's truth in that. And the problem is, the more it carries on, it's called chronic stress. And what happens is you got cortisol in the body, and it's 3 minutes or less, no problem. The longer it stays after that, it's having a more and more negative impact on you. Cortisol is lethal. It's taken years off your life, and you don't learn how to manage the stress, you're killing yourself. On top of that, when you're in a stressful mode, you're shutting down the part of your brain that can help you solve it. So you've got to have this state of mind that when something hits, you go, you know what? No, we're not doing this. There's a solution to this. And I don't care how long the solution takes. What I do know is stressing about it won't change it. Worry produces nothing. That's scripture. That's also scientifically proven. Worry produces nothing. Absolutely nothing but harm. So if it doesn't produce anything, the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to stress about it. Some things I can change. Some things I can't. Some things I can change immediately. Other things I'm going to have to change over time. But what I'm not going to do is fixate on what's wrong, because it produces no positive results. And the way that I'm able to do that best is by starting my day, priming myself to be ready for the challenge, priming myself to be ready to celebrate every victory and stand firm in every challenge and every disappointment, because that's life. You don't get to ascend without challenge. You don't get to grow into something greater without challenge. This idea that everything just happens and all of a sudden you float. You can watch some people and it looks good when they're doing it, but you're not seeing what's happening in the backdrop, because they make it look easy, because they've been doing it and they're fixated. And all you see is what's going on. What I'm telling you is, there's a bunch of stuff going on that every person faces every day and has to come over. That's just life. It's not some people get through life and just nothing happens, and then other people, everything in the world goes wrong. No. Here's what can happen. You can start out and you're going to get what everybody gets, some good days and some bad days. But guess what happens? What you focus on, you feel. Guess what? What you feel creates the energy. Guess what? Energy is resonant. Guess what that means? that energy attracts like energy. So if I have a bad day and I look at it and I identify with the bad day and not see it as a moment or a circumstance or a temporal situation, and I identify with it, guess what? I start emanating negative energy. Guess what I attract? Negative energy, negative people, negative situations, negative behavior is created that creates more negative results. And I create a cycle of negativity that, if I'm not careful, becomes my perpetual reality. I could take the same situation and say, man, that sucks. Watch me, watch me. That's been me many times in my life. People are counting you out. Watch me. Man, I used to say this all the time. I don't say it as much anymore because I don't get as much as caught up into what other people are thinking. But that was a point in time I used to bar. And I sort of say it's a bunch of people literally holding their breath, waiting on me to fail. They finna suffocate. And that would just drive me. Now I don't get driven by that. To me, that's still a negative emotion, but it's taking you something positive. It's giving you some. But now I'm here to help people. I'm here to lift people. I'm not concerned what people, the detractors are going to be there. And a lot of time, the people who are the primary detractors are the people you're doing it for, the people you love the most, the people that you're standing up for, the people you're closest to. Don't get caught up in that. Don't give it no energy. You sit up and know that you were built for something beyond simply existing in this world. You were built for something more than just surviving. There's something in your life that you need to be doing. On that note, I've got to get out of here, but I wanted to drop that on you. I hope that it helps. I hope that you guys share it, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff, no matter where you're at. And don't forget, this is the last day that the Rapid Change Breakthrough Session is going to be at a over 50% discount. It's going back to its regular price of $450 on tomorrow. And also, the first 10 people who sign up will get an additional session at no charge. So you can get 2 sessions for more than half off of one. With that being said, I'm out of here. Those who want it will get it. Those who don't won't. And it's all good. I love all you guys. You guys go out today and do something special for someone else. I don't care if it's the guy on the corner. Give him an extra couple of dollars than you would normally give somebody. Pass somebody in the store and they seem like they're a little thrown off. Maybe they're a little edgy and snappy. Say something kind to them. Call that person that you haven't talked to in a while and just ask how they're doing. But whatever you do, find somebody to do something kind to and kind for today. That's going to be a blessing for you that will bring back unbelievable results in your life. Be kind today. Find that thing, touch somebody. And it's going to, first of all, it's going to take you out of yourself. Do that. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys, I thank you so much for stopping in. You guys have a wonderful remainder of your week and weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. I am out of here.